Hello everyone, my name is Mimi79. Today I've got round number 8 of the Nations Cup. So this is a short season, so only 8 rounds, but 169 points on offer. Not the greatest, however. We are in a lower ranked lobby, so that is to be expected. So, in the McLaren 650S in the lime green livery, it's going to be a tricky one because I really hate the final sector. And hate is a bit of an understatement actually, because that final sector is my least favourite sequence in any track in the whole world. It's absolutely terrible and I hate it with a passion. So we're going to have to try and make something work here. So skip it to qualifying, and what you really want is the slipstream, because to be honest, the slipstream is so important that you've got to make sure you're in it, otherwise we are going to lose a lot of time. So we're going to skip forward to the start of our qualifying lap here. Straight away, this is a pretty bad start. We're not even in the slipstream, which I mentioned just a moment ago is one of the most important factors in this race. But anyway, we're going to try and make something work without it, and to be honest, the slipstream will probably gain you about 3/10 on the main straight. But anyway, into the first corner, braking just after the 150 board. I'm just gaining so much time in the braking zone. I think we're definitely in the slipstream now of Alba in the McLaren. McLaren's a very popular choice in this race, however, in the lower splits, other cars were chosen, such as the Megane Trophy, which is being used by the Hungarian, who's picked up a 1 second penalty, so not making a particularly good example of it. He backs out the lap and he goes back into the pits. However, into, I believe this is 100R, which may bear some resemblance to 130R in its name. However, they are completely different corners in terms of speed, characteristics, but I guess the same thing is the direction of the corner, which is left. The Spaniard backs out of his lap, so we won't be held up in that regard. However, we might not be able to pick up the toe of the cars in front, which is a bit of a concern, as I really want that suck in the back straight, or the main straight even. So anyway, into the final 2 corners, by far the worst on this track. So difficult to get dead right. Not even hours of practice will make sure you get this corner perfect every single time. Taking a tighter line there, but we aren't gonna have the slipstream, I don't think anyway. So on the run to the line, just looking back there, we're definitely gonna be faster than the Spaniard at least, that's for sure. But to the line, it's gonna be a 46.5. That's puts us P2. However, that is to be expected since we are in a lower lobby. So we're going to just pull over to the right hand side and we are going to exit. So eventually that did secure us P2. Just here there, lots of revving of the engine, because in this one that's what you have to do really. I've got no other choice. But here, what I did was very stupid. I jumped the start, and then because I jumped the start I couldn't move. But then everyone kind of smacked into the back of me when I didn't have my radar on, and then I think I caused someone to spin out and I get a 4 second penalty. Very unfortunate, but again, not much I could do. Braking a bit too late there and smack into the Spaniard, and then yep, another penalty. So we've got 5 second penalty now. Spaniard picking up a 1 second penalty. It's all kicking off on this first lap. And what we've got to try and do is make sure we don't pick up any more penalties, because they will ruin my race, especially with you know, lots of dirty drivers, as you'll see later on. It's going to be very difficult to try and make your way up the field cleanly without any penalties. German running a bit wide there, picking up a 1 second penalty, presumably for track limits. However, we do get the run on him, and we're going to go to the inside, and we are presumably going to take the place, and we're going to move back up into 11th. He does brake quite well, to be fair, and he hangs around the outside, but there's pretty big blockage at the hairpin. On lap 1, that place is just absolutely terrifying. Top 1 scariest places to be in You know, compared to Mexico City, that corner is just it's basically a traffic jam on meth, that place at lap 1. Spaniard running a bit wide there. We're gonna go to the left hand side, but again, it's just not quite gonna work out. We're gonna look for the cutback, but with this 5-second penalty, it's gonna be very unlikely that we're gonna get an okay result out of this even. So serving that hard, the pain of that penalty is just immeasurable. And we're going to drop down into 19th with Tropical Racer only behind us now. And I'm pretty sure he's the one who smacked into the wall at turn 1. So pretty sad considering he could have got a decent result with everything that happens later on. So the gap's about 2.5 seconds to the cars in front. And at this point I thought, right, I need to get my head down, I need to focus, because I've got absolutely nothing to lose. Almost spinning out there. I was fully prepared to rage quit as soon as I lost control. However, thankfully I managed to regain control of my car and we remain in the race. However, the group in front is starting to battle quite heavily here, and the Hungarian Scooby, or the Subaru WRX, is looking for a move, I think, on the Croatian driver, but WRX in this race, not the best choice. Admittedly, it is good on 1 lap pace for sure. I think it's set the number 2 time in the world, or in EMEA at least. But Croatian driver running wide there, and he is going to force his way past the Hungarian. Not how I would have done the move, but he picks up a 1-second penalty. So unfortunate for him. Very, very harsh. That is kind of to be expected of the penalty system nowadays anyway, unfortunately. And throughout this whole race, I was very, very worried I was going to get penalties for a small amount of contact. However, into the final corner, again, not getting it dead right, but we are going to move up into 17th when the Croatian driver serves this penalty. Not in the slipstream of the cars in front, annoyingly. However, we can work our way around that because a lot of the drivers in this lobby don't quite know the gearing of the McLaren, so we do gain about half a tenth in that aspect. However, breaking into the first corner, very tricky to get right actually, but just managed to nail the apex nicely on that occasion. Now we're in the slipstream of the guy we were following in qualifying, ironically, but I don't think he is too quick because he qualified 18th, I believe, and I qualified obviously 2nd. But throughout this whole race I was thinking what could have been if I didn't bottle the start, didn't get a 5-second penalty. You know, just these things kind of make you think. The power of hindsight is just crazy because obviously you don't know what would have happened if you didn't do something like didn't get a penalty, whatever. But obviously I did, so we've got to work our way around that. Frenchman picking up a 1-second penalty there. That could throw this race right out the window, or could throw a spanner into the works, as you could say. Go for the move on the Spaniard there. We've got to be aggressive because after losing so many places at the start, we dropped down to pretty much dead last at one point. But we've got to try and be aggressive. But the Spaniard takes his position back and we drop back down into 17th. However, 10th is just there in sight, so perhaps the top 10 is possible in this one. However, the Frenchman serves this penalty and we move up into 15th. German there also serving a penalty, so we are going to potentially move up into 15th. And yes, we are. However, in this race, what you've got to look out for is your tyres, because the tyre wear was times 10, I believe, in this one. So we've got to be very careful of that. Spaniard braking way too late. No idea what he was thinking there. Bit of contact, and thankfully we're not going to be penalised for that. However, I was very worried because there was contact. He went onto the curb, but thankfully penalty system wasn't so drunk on that occasion. However, going through the Coca-Cola corner, I believe it is, very tricky as it's a very long corner, but we've got to make sure we stick in the slipstream of Arthur 4M Smith GT in the McLaren. Once again, very popular choice for this race. Very good off the standing start, which is quite important considering he can either gain or lose positions quite easily in that one. However, into the big braking zone, you can see there 10th place is just right there, and there's another train of cars leading to about 5th there. So again, it's possible we could maybe even get a top 5 if we're very lucky, because you can just see there they're right around the corner, and if we could clear this group quickly, we could perhaps set our sights on that train of cars in front. However, it's going to be very tricky because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 cars to pass, and there's the Hungarian who's just there as well, who's at the back of that train. Megane Trophy, very poor car choice of car for this race. Christ, I can't speak, because the straight line speed is not there. It does do very well in the last sector, but you'll lose all of that time in the first and second, so it's pretty bad choice for this one. Anyway, sticking behind for now, try to force the Swiss driver into a mistake, and that's exactly what he does. We're going to sweep around the outside into 13th place, and more importantly still, we are in the slipstream of the group in front, and that is going to really help us in this one, because the slipstream is so important. German drifting a little bit wide there, managing to get the exit bit. We do gain 2/10 there on him. However, the Russian there in 10th place just starting to pull away, I think, from Arthur Smith and possibly the Spaniard. Possibly? What am I on? Anyway, through the chicken, very tricky because you've got to really be quite conservative through the first apex. However, we are definitely gaining on the German here. It's a German in the McLaren. Very ironic considering it's a German driver in a British car. Maybe a hint of irony there. However, there are also Russians in Japanese cars, which, to be fair, does not make much sense either given the course of history. However, history doesn't matter in this one, it's all about the racing. So we continue tucking in the slipstream then of the German, who is also in the slipstream of the Spaniard, who's also in the slipstream of the Russian. The Russian goes defensive, and it's going to be temporarily 3 wide. The German goes very wide, and we do manage to pull alongside there, and hopefully we manage to gain a position. He's just behind us, and yeah, he just kind of backs out, thinks better of it. However, in I think 6th place there is a WRX, or 5th place should I say, and he will play a very crucial role later on in the race, and you will see why if you stick around. But if you are making it this far into the video anyway, I just want to applaud you for being a loyal viewer, because most people don't make it this far. But anyway, the Russian just a bit feisty there, and that tends to have 0 top speed compared to the McLaren anyway. But we are going to look around the outside, and perhaps not the best move, but the Spaniard is going to absolutely send it. To be fair, he did make the move work. However, I think it was a bit late, but again, we just managed to hold on to the position. Looking around the outside again of the Russian, and once more the Spaniard is just going to be there on our inside. But again, we managed to just tuck back in front. Again, the Spaniard looking for the move. Very feisty here. But he does have a 1.5 second penalty, presumably for cutting the inside of the first apex of the chicken. Very easy mistake to make considering how much you can abuse the limits there. However, he does serve that penalty, and we are going to move back up to 11th place. However, the Russian in front just has 0 top end in that Atenza. Very, very bad choice, I think, for this one. You really want a car that's a pretty solid all-rounder, and the Atenza is just not one of them. Very good in the qualifying times, however, in the race with the tyre wear, it's just not quite good enough. Get a bit of a tap there from, I believe, the Russian, but we do manage to move up into the top 10, and this is promising here because the group in front is only about a second away from the slipstream, but it's all gone to waste because they're just cutting the inside a bit too much and disaster. 1 second penalty. To be fair, it is my fault. I did cut the inside of the corner a bit too much, pushed the limits too far. However, we've got to try now and get our head down and push as much as possible because not much has gone our way in this race so far. You know, jump at the start, yeah, that was my fault. The penalty, not my fault. The second penalty, yeah, maybe my fault. This penalty, yeah, definitely my fault. So serving our penalty here, oh, that's just excruciating. However, the German behind it actually has to serve a penalty as well. But we've got to battle this Russian again, which is not really what we want to do because he is quite slow in this one, or perhaps not as quick as the front runners. And we did qualify second for this one, remember, so we do have pace. It's just a matter of trying to unlock that pace. Croatia, they're looking for a move, and that is going to lose him a lot of time because he had to go deep there into the corner. However, Russia just really holding myself and the Spaniard up, I think. And we're going to look for a move, trying to do the same as we did to the Swiss driver in the Jag earlier. Doesn't quite work though. The Russian really slow through the Coca-Cola corner, and is he going to concede the position? Spaniard goes to the grass, just gives him a little nudge, and the attempt gets a bit of a wobble there, and we are going to get the cut back, and about 4 cars on the radar there, but we managed to get past 2 cars, and side by side with the Atenza, but because that thing has 0 top end, we are going to move up into 10th place and regain our position. Shouldn't have been in this position in the first place, however, we've got to just consider that not many circumstances have gone our way. However, Hungarian with a penalty there in front, I think it's a 3-second penalty, can't quite see. However, we've got to just remember that we are still in the hunt and there are still 6 laps to go, so anything is possible. We could still gain more places. However, round the final corner, we aren't going to concede any positions for now. We have managed to get out the slipstream range of the cars behind, thankfully, so they shouldn't trouble us for the rest of the race. However, Hungarians served a penalty there, so we are going to move up to 9th place. However, the gap's about 3.4 seconds to the Italian. I'm just going to skip forward to the end of lap 10, so this is about 2 laps, and we're already onto the back of them because they were battling so much. Spaniard with the penalty there, and he's going to try and tuck back into the slipstream with the NSX. However, we move back in front and we move it to 8th place. Just looking forward there. There's the Frenchman that was in shot about 5 laps ago or so, maybe more. And he is going to be very crucial to the ending of this race. Go for the inside of the NSX. Bit of contact on the apex, however, we just managed to get past. And we move up into 7th place. Not a bad recovery actually, considering where we were at the end of lap 1. You know, 2.5 seconds down on the rest of the pack. It wasn't looking promising, but we managed to fight through, and we could still gain more places because the Frenchman in the WRX, he is going to struggle massively, I presume, with his tyres, as it is a 4-wheel drive car. And as you know, 4-wheel drive cars do tend to struggle with tyre wear. So with this being a high tyre wear race, his chances are pretty much next to none. However, gap's about 2 seconds here, but the Italian goes for a move. To be fair, it does pay off. He did make the corner, bit of contact, but that was mostly my fault. I did turn in on him a bit there. Kind of expected him to take the corner a bit earlier. But anyway, we've got to try and stick with the Italian because I think it's quite clear that he is a bit feisty. He wants to race and he wants to go for positions at all costs. However, we do have to drop him quickly if we want to catch up to the WRX. There's only 3 laps left after this one, so time is running out. But we do have the run on the NSX X5 Chroma 5X. It's, you know, very 2011-esque username. However, he goes to the right hand side, we pull over to the left, and because of the superior top end of the McLaren, we should be able to storm past here. And we're going to flick the radar back on. Yeah, we do take the position, covering the inside there because we kind of have to. Apologies for that weird sound there. That don't know why it was there. It wasn't there in the next race I did, which may or may not make its way into a video as well next week. However, into the left-hander, very tricky to get right. The gap's only now 1.5 seconds. Even with this battling, we are still gaining. But the Italian, once again, just appearing out of nowhere. You know, it's just one of those annoying drivers that just appears. Like, there's nothing you can do. Spaniard got a bit deep on the brakes there, so he's gone. But we are going to try and regain our position on the Italian. But we are running out of time to try and catch the Frenchman in front. We're going to go to the left-hand side. Pray they brakes a bit too late, which he does. He does miss the apex quite a bit. However, we try and get the cutback, and does it quite work? Not quite. We try and hang it round the outside, but it's just not going to work. In these lower rated A lobbies, even though the drivers are relatively quick, the racecraft is not the best. Admittedly, a lot of the A rated drivers are clean, but there's just a few that go for moves quite a lot when they really shouldn't. And you can see there, the Frenchman is really close now, but the NSX doesn't have the slipstream of them just yet, so we are going to once again have the toe of the NSX into the first corner. He doesn't defend it, thankfully, so I think he realises that we are just quicker this stage in the race, and we are going to move up to 7th place. However, I still want to get 6th place, the Steve position, but there's not a lot of time left. However, with the Scooby having atrocious tyre wear, we should try and make it work. So on to the final lap then. Because of the appalling straight line speed it has, we managed to get in the slipstream a bit. I think we were 1.1 seconds behind at the start, and then we ended it about 0.7 behind. It's crazy how slow that thing is in a line. However, we've got to try and take advantage of that, but don't forget the WRX has quite good handling, and it's also got decent brakes, so we've got to make sure that we capitalise on its weaknesses, because again, it's very difficult to overtake its braking zones because it is so good in those areas. However, it's just so pitifully slow in a straight line. This is the prime example of it. So 3/10 behind into kind of the back straight. I just there going so slowly. Maybe he misshifted there or something, because we did gain a bit of extra time, but just there, even on that tiny straight, still gaining so much time. It goes a bit deep into the chicken, but thankfully do get the cutback, but it goes very slowly there, a bit odd, because I feel as though he accidentally shifted down the gear there for a moment. However, there are still a couple of corners left to negotiate. By now, the group behind us just long gone. We managed to drop them quite quickly. The Russian wins the race, well-deserved victory. Started 3rd, I believe, so well done to him. But here, this is just absolutely awful. So he's weaving all over the place to try and defend his position because he knows what's coming. But then he just tries to squeeze me off the track. Like, what is this? This is absolutely appalling behaviour. You know, I did send him a message after the race saying why he did that, but to no avail. But if you did enjoy, like and subscribe, turn on those post notifications, leave some feedback. But take care everyone, and goodbye.